here in the sports shop.
Yeah.
We lost one of our greatest athletes of all time.
That's true.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah.
OJ.
Yeah.
OJ Simpson.
Orenthal James.
The juice.
Yeah.
Simpson.
It was on the loose.
Is loose now.
Yeah.
But if you recall back in the 90s, the murder trial, he was found civilly liable for the murders of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson.
Yeah.
And that's been an ongoing issue for them trying to collect those funds for the last 30-plus years.
Right.
They still have not collected a lot of the assets. So just prior to OJ's death, he created a trust and put a lot of his assets into the trust.
Okay.
Named his former lawyer as the executor.
Okay.
Or the trustee, I'm sorry. And he has stated that he's going to do everything in his power to keep from paying any assets out to the Goldman family and to the Brown Simpson family. So even beyond the grave, the juice is still
So wait a minute.
Fighting.
So his trustee is like, I'm not gonna give him anything.
Right.
That's
right.
what my job is, to fulfill his wishes.
Yes. So the trustee's role is to carry out the terms of the trust for the trust beneficiaries. So it brings into play a strategy that everyone can use. Everyone
What's that?
Listening to the Sports Shop right now can protect their assets to some extent.
By doing what?
By setting up a trust and by doing proper estate planning. Because once you set up a trust, you don't own the assets anymore. So instead of Earl Reese owning that $2 million house, the Earl Reese Trust owns the $2 million house. It's no longer in your name, so it makes it difficult for individuals to come or creditors to attach to assets such as that.
That's interesting.
So in the trust, for my daughter, for example, if it was in the trust, would they have? I would have to put her over the trust, otherwise she wouldn't get anything either. Or how does that work?
Your daughter could be the beneficiary of the trust.
Right.
Yeah. You could be the trustee. So you would put your assets in the trust for her benefit, and then if something happens to you, then she owns the assets as the trustee, but not as herself individually.
Right.
So it's a way. A lot of times people will use this to protect their children from divorces and things of that nature by having property set up in a trust rather than owned individually.
And in OJ's case, it's the trustee and not his children would get any.
Well, the trustee controls the trust, but his beneficiaries
for how long does he control it though?
Ever.
Wow. So that's another thing. So you can
and you can set up successive trustees also. So the trust is a
like I can say
like
in the case of OJ and trustee not want to pay, the Goldmans or whoever out of line, whatever, they can set up multiple trustees down the line. They'll never get assets.
Right.
To,
so I'm sure he has his current lawyer is the existing trustee, but if something happens to that person, then I'm sure he has another trustee named that would step in and do the same thing. So it's a great way to protect assets and shield assets from creditors.
Wow.
So it's something that you can utilize to protect what you work so hard to obtain.
And
wow.
we all about protecting assets on this show. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But welcome to the Sports Show. We got GRW from GRW Law, Gregory R. Williams, and just listening to you talking about that, a lot of people thinking about their own personal situations, and so I oftentimes now I think about my parents, my grandparents and others, elderly, family members that have property and land and assets, and is that something that other than just willing it to the family, is that something that it's something that you should think about putting some of those type of assets into a trust so that it doesn't get picked off by unsavory companies and other people?
Absolutely, that's one of the biggest ways that wealth is lost in Black families, just through land loss. And one of those, you mentioned it, one of those ways is a grandparent or grandfather dies and they leave it to all of their children.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it becomes heir property.
Yeah.
So they do nothing. And then that property transfers immediately at death. So as soon as that person passes away, it transfers to those in line to receive it. So if most families from the South, You know, you're going to have this big family. So you might have 7 or 8 siblings, and now all of them own the property, and then you multiply that by 2 or 3 generations.
Yeah.
So if the great-grandparents did it, now there might be 100.
You know what's interesting about this?
100 heirs.
I've been there, done that.
Real quickly though, I have a family. Obviously, several years ago when we had the tornadoes down that area, Opelika, I had a family in the Auburn area that same scenario, had 7 siblings. And here's one of the issues though: when the grandfather died, a couple of siblings sold theirs to this development company.
Yep.
And they've been in court for the last 5-6 years. My cousin Melissa, who's a real estate agent, she was trying. You know anybody? Because she was trying to get some fundraising going on just to help support them trying to fight this thing, and it looks like they're not going to be able to fight it because the construction company, because those other 2 or 3 people.
That's all it takes.
Members.
Actually, it takes one.
Yeah.
And so
they gave them some chop change.
Right.
Because the property's worth like $30 million what they got. And they probably got like $50,000 just to sign over. And it's so sad.
Yeah.
And it's so sad. I mean, that's happened to my family down in the Opelika, Auburn area. Right, like as we speak. So we said it, you're right.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And it only takes one person, one owner to force a sale. And they don't even have to sell to a third party. They could just force the sale. So you could have one sibling.
Not aware.
Can you prevent that? How do you prevent that though?
You can't. Well, you have to buy them out. That's really the only way to prevent the litigation from going forward is to buy that person out.
Very.
But yeah.
So real quick. Wow, we got.
So basically, what you're saying, we need to come see you.
Yeah. Come see GRW-law.com.
So let's segue. We got a couple more minutes. And one thing you want to hit on right quick before we get out of here.
Yeah, so the NCAA is working on a settlement with the conferences. You know,
I saw that.
$2.7 billion over the next 10 years is the proposed terms of that deal. It's from the House v. NCAA case. So it would cover athletes back to 2016. Some of the terms of it would require or allow schools to use 22% of their revenue from media rights and ticket sales, things of that nature, on their athletes. Some of the legal concerns would be obviously Title IX. You know, how do you address that? Making sure there's equal money paid to women's and men's athletes.
Sure.
And then also, this covers current athletes. It doesn't necessarily cover future athletes. So one of the provisions they're thinking about is doing a rolling opt-in each year. So student athletes have to opt in or opt out to challenge it in court again. So those are some of the things that are kind of up in the air right now. So, you know, we'll see how that plays out, but I think you'll see a settlement probably within the next year.
Opt in, opt out.
Yeah, I understand the process of opt in and opt out. Then you got to go through this whole process again.
Yeah. So if everyone opts in, it's cool. But if a player says it's unfair,
so so it's like a union vote.
Yeah, they go to a hearing.
Okay, it's like a union vote.
And then we have the union stuff in the background, the collective bargaining agreement, things of that nature.
I got it. Yeah. So basically, they got caught. The NCAA has been cheating for so long. Yeah. It's time to pay up.
They like the PGA Tour.
Check them out once a month.
And they really got to pay up.
Once a month. GRW rock with us once a month. Check them out, man. D.R. Reese, K. Matt, Pam, Thompson, Mr. Firm.
Take care of your family affairs, people.
Anytime, man, glass. Let's go.
Step this way, step that
Listen
way.
every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
The rookies have reported for Panthers minicamp, and that means the Panthers offseason continues. Everything has to be about finding value where you normally don't see it. Get every penny, every dime out of the couch cushions because you have a lot of ground to make up. You were the worst team in the NFL last year. If you don't want it to happen again, you have to get minicamp working.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Dane's almost world-famous chicken and waffles, man. The place we got to be when your appetite is right.
Dane's parents are world-class comfort food combinations meant to fulfill your appetites and heart's desire. From first-timers, like me, not really, to barnyard veterans,
like me,
that's really you.
Yep.
Dane's almost world-class chicken and waffle inspirations are truly